starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Tuesday's edition of The Big Show on your Total Sports Station, KTGR. It's Andy and Brendan here. I know it's been like 4 days, but I know you still got thoughts on Mizzou basketball not getting it done in the first round. And guess what? We do too. So we're going to keep sharing them here on The Big Show. We want you to share them too. 573-875-KTGR. You didn't get your chance yesterday, of course. You get another chance today. As Mizzou now will look to try and get better for next year, get set for portal season. But as we do that, Brendan, it's almost baseball season. Oh, man. It's here.
Well, it's here. Thursday, the opener for the Cardinals. For me, it's very baseball season tonight because in about 2 hours from now, I'll be heading over to Carroll Field to watch Mizzou, Illinois, bragging rights baseball. So I'm not even waiting until Thursday to get to the ballpark. Tonight, I'm ready to rock and roll. So, yeah, and apparently the weather is going to agree that it's baseball season. It's going to be like 90 on Thursday.
Yeah, baby.
In St. Louis. So I guess we're here. Let's get it going.
Snow 1 week.
Yep.
90 the next. We got 90
we
last week here. So that's
crazy.
Sooner. But we'll wait for third winter some other time. Give us your thoughts and call or text us on the show at 573-875-KTGR. But let's kick it off.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Yeah, I think honestly there's still more to talk about with Mizzou because, look, still very disappointing how it finished. It is important to recognize that things the last few years under Dennis Gates were better than they were the years prior. That does come with a little more expectation, though. And now it all comes down to, is March success really the only missing piece? Is that it? Does that, everything that needs to happen from now until March, does it just need to be poured into making sure you don't have a March finish that you had each of the last couple of seasons? It seems that if Dennis Gates just does that, fixes that, and puts together a little run next year, then maybe that wins a lot of people that are doubting him back. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 24th day of March 2026. Like that's really it, Brendan. Like, he's had big wins in the regular season. He's gotten big time recruits. There's one coming in next year. I mean, there's a couple 5-stars that you're getting next year. It all boils down to it. And it all gets amplified with this type of season because I saw enough from Dennis Gates aside from the March, what is so far non-success, that you can absolutely see him being Mizzou's coach if he just adds that. And if he adds it, you can see him do this job for years and years and years.
Yeah, and Eli Hoff did write a good piece. We spoke with him yesterday on the show, but he highlighted the fact that Dennis Gates, like a year ago, was talking about, wanting to do this job for 20 years and be here a long, long time. And that his more recent comments were just sort of kind of selling the job that he's done and saying that he'll, be doing this for as long as they'll have him, or whatever the phrasing was. It wasn't quite the same tenor to his comments. And I think that kind of cuts through to what we spoke about with Eli yesterday, and this dance around the potential of, hey, the work I've done for 4 years is worthy of a contract extension, is worthy of like that stamp of approval from administration to say, hey, we see what you've done. You're moving us in the right direction. We like the direction of the way things are heading, and we endorse it wholeheartedly with, the additional things that all coaches would want, the money, the guaranteed years, all those sorts of things. But then you have on the other side of it, Mizzou fans that are saying, it's not enough. You have some saying fire the coach. And I don't think that contingent is large enough or sane enough to really give a lot of credence to. We'll talk about it because I do see the sentiments out there.
Like, it's wrong. It's a wrong sentiment. Like, I'll say it. Like, that's not the sentiment to have today. It's just
nobody on this show, until one of y'all calls in, Nobody on this show endorses that position,
No.
to be clear.
No.
And it's funny. I just had this thought, and it was something that I saw Mark Mitchell gave the quote, and it was something that was posted by Power Mizzou. The quote was, in December, everyone wrote us off like, oh, they're not a tournament team, which totally happened. I was part of that group. A lot of people said it wasn't possible, but we did. And so there's this phenomenon happening where the players, the coach, he even said the phrase, patting myself on the back. They're doing a little bit of that. They're doing a little bit of the peacocking. And I think, Andy, relative to post-game bragging rights, that's kind of fair because we didn't think it was possible. We didn't certainly expect it to have the turnaround that they did, have a 10-win conference season in the SEC. Still, I'm going to call it one of the toughest conferences. I am willing to look at the results of this tournament and say Big Ten better. Big Ten is having a whale of an NCAA tournament, and I think that they deserve some credit as probably being the best conference in America for this year in the sport of men's basketball. But, like, there is something to be said. What if they hadn't come out of the gate and beaten Florida and Kentucky so quickly in the beginning of conference play? What if they had won maybe one of those games, but they strung together like a 9-9, like in a very normal way, not in this unhinged way that their season up and down with the roller coaster ebbs and
like,
flows.
let's say it's like trade wins here. Let's say, okay, you don't get Kentucky. Well, let's say they give them the Florida win, don't get Kentucky. You finish 9-9. And let's also say, okay, you don't beat Vanderbilt, but you beat Georgia. And you don't beat
or LSU or Ole Miss.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. You win LSU and Ole Miss, but you don't win Tennessee and Texas A&M.
Vandy,
like
or
that,
Vandy or Texas A&M. Like,
exactly. That type of way.
And maybe it's still a 10-8, or maybe it's like a 9-9.
It's around that range too. Yeah.
And they were a bubble team, but you know what? They just get left out by a bid stealer, and they're one of the first four out, and they don't make it. I think we would have said, man, we never expected it in December. And there wasn't if you didn't have the high points of the season that made you think we were going to see a better Missouri team than we ultimately saw, our expectations might have been a little bit more in check. And would the tenor be, again, you got to think back to December and anchor yourself to just how downtrodden things really seemed. And you couldn't even beat Notre Dame in the non-con. And you basically got swept in the non-con. You barely beat SEMO. Like, things were bleak. And then I think they so emphatically showed what they're capable of. Then we held them to a higher standard, which seems reasonable. I'm not saying that was wrong of us. I'm just saying, did that almost work against Dennis Gates and the way the narrative is now being formed as he is seeking maybe this additional assurances from Missouri? Because you have those who would say, if he's asking for assurances, I get it, but Missouri has no reason to give them to him, and it needs to be kind of a hot seat year in 2026-27 to see if he can do the most with the talent that he has got at his disposal now through his own merit, bringing in a Jason Crow Jr. and whatever the administration is doing to get him the NIL help to get a top 15 nationally type of recruiting class. He needs to go hit the portal. He needs to get that done, and we need to judge him off of that versus in December. This could have been a completely different season, folks. We could have been talking about the type of year that he had in year 2 where he went 0-18, but we had that top 5 recruiting class coming in, and so he was Teflon. He was safe. I don't think people would have bought that a second time, Andy. There would be more calls for his job if they had gone 6-12 in conference, and you said, but Jason Crow Jr., I think it's good that they had the season they had, because I think he should absolutely get that opportunity. But isn't it weird that in his mind, he's like, what are you talking about, the opportunity? Maybe I start looking somewhere else if y'all don't give me the contract, which I don't know if he has that leverage. But that's where it's a disconnect right now.
That's really hard to go back and forth on.
I know. I don't know the answer either.
Great text here from Tom. The better your team is, the harder it is to make excuses for losing.
That's fair.
When
you beat Florida and show us that you can beat Kentucky, we're like, you must be pretty good.
Right.
There's a baseline here.
So those are the wins that propelled you into this NCAA tournament talk in the first place, and you ended up getting there. And once you're there, you might as well be in it to win it, right? Like that. And there seemed to be a thought after the game from quotes that may or may not have been, just snippets of like, were they really in it to win? Of course they were in it to win it. Like that's not.
Why say the words though?
Yeah.
Why let yourself get taken out of context?
I know.
Obviously, nobody sets out to have that happen.
They don't. They don't.
But Jacob Cruz, Dennis Gates, if you want to just do a soundbite, you could paint a picture that is like, it just doesn't feel cohesive. It just doesn't feel like they were as prepared as Miami was. And by the way, if they had played this game in, I don't know, Portland, was Portland a site? I don't know. If they had played this first
I know there
game,
was like San Jose was in it or something like that.
If they're in San Diego playing this game against Miami and it goes the same way, I think we're disappointed, but we go, you know what? They were an underdog. They probably would have been an underdog by more than a point or two.
Yeah.
But I think the crowd factor, how often do you see that? NCAA tournament spread, and they have to consider that it's going to be a home crowd. So Missouri got a little bit more cred for that. I don't even think we're as upset. I think it's because it was another golden opportunity that feels like it's wasted. And I talked about this yesterday. Sometimes those golden opportunities aren't even ones that Dennis Gates was connected to. But we go, as a Mizzou fan, it's in my DNA to remember that Michael Porter was here for a year and played 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, that's in my DNA. It's not Dennis's fault, but I was a Mizzou fan for that, right? And so there's a lot of, we all need group therapy.
There is too much baggage that that Mizzou fans bring into this relationship with Dennis Gates, right?
We assigned it to him, and he didn't do it
exactly.
to us,
That is so true. Like, yeah, Norfolk State and Tyus Adney and all that.
Didn't do it.
He didn't do that. He didn't do it.
Sit down. Now, wait a minute.
That's a whole other one.
But that's
true Eli Drinkwitz' problem. Yeah.
In both sports, we feel this way as Missouri fans.
Yeah.
We just transfer it over after football season ends, and now we blame the basketball team. And, like, there are things that Dennis Gates has been a part of that are fair to critique and have sports talk about. But, like, how do we contextualize that stuff in the background of all the other stuff that isn't him? That's a hard thing to do. And I think as a fan, it's a hard thing to separate as well. When you're feeling so emotional about the way something like Friday night went.
James says on our texter, I do think next year is a hot seat year for Gates. Look, so what does that mean? How hot's the seat? Because there can be differences of temperature on the seat.
Let's start putting it out there. Do you need a tournament win next year?
Yes.
What if you're a 7 seed?
Seeded to win a game is
seeded,
seeded
or to win it. Seeded to win it or to actually win it. Because if you're an 11,
so like if you're a protected seed, right? Maybe like if you're at least a 4 or something like that, which I don't know if I would predict that for Mizzou.
No,
right now, I don't know if
let me see the portal
seed next year. Yeah, exactly.
Who's your center, and did you get another shooter?
Right,
and then I'll answer that question.
Yeah, but
did you keep everybody?
I don't know if they would fire him if he makes the tournament again and
seeded to win a game or win a game. I think that matters because that way you're not just prescribing March as the end all be all. Your out is, you know what, if you're a 5 and you lose to a 12, that's going to suck. But there's going to be a lot of good things that allow you to feel good about the state of the program if you were a 5 seed in March Madness. If you're a 10 or an 11, you are another kind of tweener to make the tournament type of team, but you go ahead and at least win that game. I'm good. In either case, I'm good. And I'll disagree with myself from, 352 days from now. If they lose as a 5 or a 4 or a 6, I'm going to be going ballistic. I'm going to be distraught.
Yeah.
But I'll try to remember this moment and say, you know what? We did say if you have a requisite season where Selection Sunday is no sweat and we're not even sweating 8-9 game type of stuff,
you're sweating season. Like where are we located? What's our seed? Are we able to?
Yeah. Did we get a protected seed to help with geography?
Yeah.
Did we, 4 through 6? I don't think you have to win that game. You probably should show up, or there could be a rash decision made. And by the way, if he's not extended this offseason, I think you do still have to extend him after that. Like, let's say the extension stuff doesn't go anywhere because he's got a few years left on the deal and has that type of season next year. They better extend him before the tournament game, or people aren't going to like it that they ought to extend him after it. But it would be correct to say, look, program's in a good spot. Got to figure out this March thing. But that would be enough for me. But if you're just we snuck in again, we're a 10 seed, we're a 9 seed, we're an 11 seed, you got to win that game to wholeheartedly convince me that there shouldn't be sincere conversations happening, because we know at that point he'll have to do it again. Crow, in theory, will be in the NBA, and you'll have to do it all again. when it comes to rebuilding the roster, and he'll have had, 5 cracks at it. And so if you can't win a tournament game or be positioned as a team that was certainly good enough to have done so, and then maybe something flukish happens, I'm not going to fire him over a fluke if you lose a 5/12, But
Right.
I do think you need to be having the type of season to be a 5, or if you barely sneak in, then you do have to probably win a game to convince me that, like, hey, we've at least got that. We've at least seen that he's made the adjustment in this month to be able to get over that hump. I think it's one or the other. And it's not even a Sweet 16. It's literally just one or the other. And I think that's a fair place to put Mizzou basketball without knowing how much the admin is willing to pour into the program, Andy, because that's part of it too. Kentucky's sitting here going, how did we not make the second weekend with all this money that we spend on the program?
Yep.
That's different. I don't think Mizzou's doing that. I think Mizzou's spending, but they're not spending like some of those big boys, and you have to manage your expectations as a result.
And like, if you do start to spend there, I have seen like that what Dennis Gates has done with particular players could then translate to, if you pour a little bit more into it, and Tim Fuller makes the impact that you're hoping that he would make for a full season. Now that he's been here, I believe now almost a full year, but this will be the first full off season that he gets to try and build this thing himself and play in his rules this way.
They named him in June, Andy, so he did not get the portal. He didn't get it.
This will be basically his first portal. So now you can operate with that full staff.
That's
of
huge.
Everyone in their roles and see how he can make the impact there. And look, if that means more talent into this program from the portal, look, I know people have criticized like Dennis Gates can't develop players, can't do much when it comes to bringing the most talent out of them. Like,
it depends if you only look at the losses or if you look at everything. If you only look at Sebastian Mack, he's a dud. What is he doing? He's not developing players. If you look at Mark Mitchell's ascension, you look at Kobe Brown's ascension in his last year, you look at, we could go up and down the
Tamar
list of
Bates,
guys that, Tamar Bates.
Caleb Grill. Like, there are several examples of players that were brought in, maybe fine players before they got here and took another step. And very clearly, I think you can even apply that to Anthony Robinson and T.O. Barrett and guys like that.
Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't have applied it to Robinson prior to Friday, but I'm actually like, can we keep him and let's try this again? I'm bought back in on Anthony Robinson. I don't know what happened this year, but I think that you may need some additional. You got to figure out what to do, and that'll be a conversation as we go along. But which point guard do you keep? Can you keep both and hope they both develop, or do you need to get a proven guy to pair with one of the two? That decision is going to break my heart because I like them both, but you gotta get better production there.
Call or text us 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on Mizzou basketball. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline. I believe we have Michael here. Michael, what you got?
Hey, good afternoon. I haven't been able to call for a while. I'm wondering how you felt about everything, and I've enjoyed listening. Here's my thought. It's been eating in my craw for a while. I think. Whoops, you still there?
I got you. You're still on. Okay. You got you.
All right, driving and talking. It's never a good thing. Here's the thing. I think Dennis Gates seems like a really nice guy, a wonderful guy. Kumbaya. Players like him, whatever. And obviously, he seems like a great recruiter. But in my crawl, I think I think he should be second. I think they need a coach that really. Sometimes you got to kick butt a little bit. Sometimes you got to get out there and have some fire in the belly and so on. And I don't always see that from Dennis. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's going to be the issue. And so I think if you start looking at next year when you're talking about having a lot of great recruits, is there something that just isn't there yet? Is he too young? Hasn't figured it out? I mean, he was pretty young when he came in, and will he season to with experience? But that's what's been bothering me. And it, they did pretty well this year considering. But I'll let you comment about that.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it, Mike. You're on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And that's also been another part of it. Like, why is Dennis Gates not more fiery? Why is he not on the sidelines, chewing somebody out or chewing the officials out or whatever it is?
There was a recent game where he was mic'd up and they showed like in the huddle of him coaching.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to see that side of him more, because I continue to say the man does himself no favors when he gets in front of a microphone after a game or on an off day or on a midweek. I just think it's not resonating. The vision that he has and the cohesive messaging doesn't feel like it's always there. And it's very mild mannered as well. Even if what he was saying, Andy, was more cohesive, he's comes off very mild mannered. And I think like the players, love the way that he coaches them. Now, that's a good thing, obviously, but do you also need a little bit more of that get after guys to get the most out of them? Well, that's the argument that our caller Michael is making. And I think there were moments in the season where Gates even said, thanks to my players for letting me get after them this past week, because that's what they needed in practice. So I think he's more aware of how to do those things than maybe we end up seeing publicly because of the way he sounds in press conferences. I think they should mic him up for every game, and Mizzou Athletics should release some of that kind of content, because I think people would then see, oh, he's doing the coaching type of stuff during these games that I want to be hearing, to know that this guy's getting after it. But maybe that stuff doesn't matter, Andy. Maybe like we're overthinking it and that's just sports talk radio stuff. But like it's perception and it becomes reality.
But it's how we perceive it. But again, we have to keep in mind how much we get to see. We don't get to see a lot of it. Like we maybe see about 5% of how Dennis Gates interacts with his players on a daily, weekly, annual basis. And we don't know for sure whether or not he is a hard coach to deal with in practice, or if he gets after his players through there. We probably guess that he doesn't because of how, again, put together and even keel that he is whenever we hear him speak publicly, and how he defends his guys to the moon and back. Like that makes sense to us that he would maybe translate that way to practice. But again, we only see what we see, and everything else that happens behind the scenes, we're less privy to. So like you're right. If I had to guess, it probably isn't a situation where it's, I don't know, Bobby Knight in the practice room every day, like, or whatever that would have happened. But
I bet it's more than people think.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Again, I think it was maybe during the SEC tournament where it was like one little coming out of the timeout mic'd up. And I was like, holy crap, that's good stuff.
And
like,
I think that's something that the SEC does for their tournament every year. And I just don't think it's a standard thing across the board all season long. I
am making the suggestion that Mizzou Athletics should implement it from time to time, because I think people would be pleasantly surprised with Dennis Gates' coaching acumen. Shocker, he's an SEC head basketball coach who's earned his way up the ranks to be that. But I think there are some, and like, I'll defend it when I hear him speak in a press conference at times. I'm going, does he really know what's going on? Because what he just said doesn't make any sense. I honestly think getting more glimpses of heat of the moment, heat of the battle, Dennis Gates would impress Mizzou fans more than it would turn them off. And I think would answer their questions of like, oh, his press conference demeanor isn't who he is in the huddle, where he's very mild-mannered. And no, he's getting after it. He's talking about the things they need to be executing, and he's coaching. And like, I think it would actually benefit the public perception of Coach Gates for us to be able to see more of that. Because like you said, that happened during the SEC tournament. I can't remember seeing it at other times, but I saw it and I was like, actually love what's happening here. I'm fired up by it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, maybe that's in a business where perception is reality, change the perception if there is some of that out there. Maybe that could serve to benefit the narratives that surround the situation.
Well, again, there is just so much that rides on this off season for Mizzou basketball. So tell us what you think should happen with it. 875-KTGR. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline again. Let's go to Brad. Hello, Brad. How are you?
Guys, what is going on this lovely Tuesday?
I'm so happy to hear Brad, man. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Guys, you just nailed it. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm an old North Stewart guy, and I remember as a kid, him and Billy Tubbs just lighting into each other. And anytime Billy Tubbs, I think, right, Billy Tubbs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was epic, and there was fire, and the whole crowd got into it. You just nailed the head. The one thing, in my opinion, about Dennis Gates that's lacking that I have not seen is the firecracker that needs to happen. And you don't have to go after another coach. Lose it on an official. Go nuts. Lose it on your players. Don't apologize or don't thank them for letting you lose it on them during practice. They may have needed it. So you guys just nailed it. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see him get, just fired up and get ticked off. And if I saw that, I don't think there'd be any doubt in my mind that we had the greatest coach in the SEC. So there it is. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Brad, here on the Big Show, KTGR.
Thank you, Brad.
And look,
I think that's a perception that's real. I think
sure.
and
I've seen him. I've seen him get upset before at officials. It's happened.
He does it.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it at his players.
He doesn't. No.
That should be a mark in his favor, right? Because that's respectable that his players like him so much. But also, I think what Brad's saying is like there are moments where even a player's coach has to be willing to do those sorts of things. And it comes back to, I think he probably is. We just do not see it. But when you don't see it, you're left to assume. And when what you do see is very mild-mannered most of the times, I think that's a perception issue that may not be reality, but we don't know any different because we don't see it.
Call or text us 875-KTGR here on The Big Show. We want to get more of your calls and texts in so you can continue to do that here on The Big Show. But we want to get to our conversation with the injury expert, Will Carroll, up next as he tells us about the key Cardinals and Royals injuries to keep monitoring as we get closer to the season and what else is happening across the league in the injury department. The injury expert, Will Carroll, joins us next on The Big Show.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a staff accountant at the height of tax season.
Congrats. Looks like the company owes, $50 in taxes. How about that?
That seems low. Why only 50?
Why do you care so much? It's not your money.
This is the job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Hey, construction dude, congrats on the killer contract in Cape. Sweet. So, how are you going to get that Mongo crane down to the job site? Here's a haul of an idea. Just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for heavy equipment hauling, too. Semis, dozers, RVs, goosenecks, farm and construction stuff, school buses, boats, bring it. If you use it, they can move it. Call the team they think you'll really love to meet. I70towing.com. Goosenecks. Give me some long necks.
I'm one of them, wishing for warmer weather. In the current issue of Inside Columbia Magazine, pull up a chair with our dining guide and see the best outdoor patio and rooftop hot spots. Don't miss a single event, party, or fundraiser in the community calendar. And a delicious battle is on as we debate a critical question: who has the best pizza in town? It's all inside Columbia Magazine. Get your copy today at break time convenience stores or have it delivered at InsideColumbia.net.
Lose weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis guaranteed or your money back, only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also stop smoking with Hypnosis. No matter how many times you tried to quit, this Hypnosis is designed to destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis Thursday, April 23rd, Capital Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City. Weight loss Hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking Hypnosis 8 p.m. or Saturday, April 25th at the Courtyard by Marriott in Columbia. Weight loss Hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking Hypnosis 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin and Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin and Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin and Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin and Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin and Sticklin, it's a home run.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
We're back here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brendan here, and we are almost to the start of the regular season for Major League Baseball. Cardinals begin Thursday, Royals begin Friday. I think officially it starts tomorrow with the very first game, but hey, it's baseball season officially now, and here to talk with us about it and all the injuries that come with it, the injury expert Will Carroll joining us now on the KTGR hotline. Go and read his newsletter, undertheknife.substack.com, and see his podcast as well, Injury Territory, wherever you get your podcasts. So, Will, it's that start of the year where you start to learn for sure who officially is going to be on the injured list to start out. Seems that will be the case for Lars Nootbaar, still dealing with coming back from the offseason surgery. They say that he's starting the running program here soon, but it seems that it's going to take a little while. Will, how do you kind of read this situation for the Cardinals outfielder?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because Chaim Bloom came out and said they're determining whether or not he's going to be on the 60. And while that sounds immediately negative, it also means right now they're not sure. Is it going to be somewhere in between 15 and 60? Well, yeah, it's the minimum. So where is that? If it's 30 days, they're probably just going to wait. If it's 45, what's the point where they say, you know what, we're going to go the whole 60? I mean, if they knew, they just put him on the 60, be done with it. They don't. So that's given us more information here. So is he ready now? No. Is he going to be ready soon? Not really. But it's somewhere in that April, early May timeframe is what it sounds like. And that's kind of been the target all along. So I don't think this is as negative a change as a lot of people are reading it.
Be interesting to see the decision point that they make on that, as Nathan Church may get some run there in left field. How about behind the plate, Will? What's the status of Ivan Herrera? It feels like we ask every week. We know they want him in the lineup. What about his catching behind the plate?
Yeah, they're willing to let him catch. They're not willing to let him catch every day. Are they willing to let him catch back-to-back? Doesn't look like it. So this is just going to make a little bit of a rotation. If he catches, does he need an off day the next day? If so, you've got to factor that in. Do you catch him the last game of a series, the getaway games? Do you start looking at who's righty-lefty, which matchups are you going to get? Which hitters or which pitch types is he best against? So it's just going to be a little bit of additional strategic stuff, but that's not as hard as people make it out to be. The managers know, the analytics staff know. Heck, somebody could probably just ask ChatGPT to work this out, and then The thing that we're learning more and more, and I was just reading a big article on this, there is nothing more important than the righty-lefty matchups. The more you get those right, even with all the other information we have these days, the more successful you're going to be. And that's pretty astounding that we're just figuring that out in 2026.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. On the Royals side, they get another day to completely finalize their opening day roster. They start on Friday this week. Maybe a bit of a question as to whether Michael Massey will be there to start, as he has continued to deal with his health through the last couple. How do you kind of see the situation for a guy that, kind of fills out the bench for the Royals, but also could be valuable in some spots on the infield?
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of a Swiss Army knife, and that makes you less flexible, but you don't need as much flexibility the first couple of weeks of the season. Because of the weather, they're usually putting you in situations where there's off days built into the schedule. We see some teams like the Yankees going to the 4-man. So for Massey, I think they're going to go on the conservative side, see exactly where he is. The other thing to keep in mind, and we've talked about this before, if you have somebody on the IL, that's one less tough decision you have to make. I mean, you obviously don't want to put somebody in the IL, but there's not as much stigma to it these days. So I think Massey probably starts on the IL, and that gives him that extra roster spot to figure out exactly where things go and make that tough call to send somebody down, at least wait a little bit. Nothing like procrastination.
And then on the pitching side of things, what is the status of Stephen Kolek as he is working his way toward the season?
Yeah, he's working his way back from that oblique strain. We're seeing more of these at the end of spring training, trying to figure out exactly why. A lot of people say it's a little bit of fatigue, that guys who are on the edge are working harder, maybe overthrowing. I don't think that's the case. I mean, because guys like Spencer Strider's going to be out a month with that, and he's certainly on the edge of the roster. But the Braves are in a tough position with about 3/5 of their rotation on the IL to start the season, and a question about whether they want to bring up their hot prospect Didier Fuentes. For Kolek, it's a question of, is he going to be the 5, or is he going to need a little extra time to build up? What are they willing to take from him? I think, in this day and age where we get a lot of 5 and dive pitchers, it's one of those situations where a guy who can only go 4 or 5, that's probably what you're going to get from a lot of pitchers these days, because the bullpens are so good, because the matchups are so key, because these bullpens are so deep, going 13. I know there's one team that's actively talking about 14 to start the season, and that's just crazy to me.
It is insane how it's kind of changed there. And the Royals are in an interesting spot for that, because look, their rotation's pretty set even without Kolek. They even have options on top of it. They've got Ryan Bergert that they could use, or even Luinder Avila, who is kind of waiting in the wings too. It seems that, I mean, you already mentioned the Braves there as a team that's maybe going to miss a good part of their rotation to start. There's a similar situation brewing in Toronto with the Blue Jays. Who's going to be starting for them? Trey Savage, kind of the latest one to have some real concern about. Does that mean the Royals, I don't know how early they maybe take these calls on these sorts of things, but how early could we potentially see a trade for a team that wants one of the Royals pitchers that isn't quite doing anything at the moment? So come on down.
There's 2 things here, actually 3. The first is, are the Royals going to contend? Nobody's going to run away with the AL Central. It's not that good a division. The Tigers are good, but even that is going to be an interesting one. How much is Scooble ticked? He knows he's leaving. They want to win. They're talented. They sent down McGonigal, which is just so short-sighted. We saw that a couple places around the league. We'll see how that goes. The other part is depth. We see teams that don't have enough pitchers to start the season or make it through the season. So if you're counting on a couple injuries, then you have to go 7, 8 deep. The other, and I was talking to a front office type the other day, and he was talking about how this year, more than any other, because of the impending work stoppage in 2027, our team's going to go for it a little bit more. If you're a team, say the Royals are hot at the start of the season, and they're not normally a team that's out there making big dollar acquisitions, willing to give up a couple prospects. But if they're in the mix for it, are they more willing to go for it, or are they more willing to sell early if they're out of it, or even if they're in it? What's the plan here? And we don't really have a solid lock on what the Royals are going to be. This is an unpredictable team. I can see where things go right, where Callejon turns into the hitter we saw in the World Baseball Classic, and then he was at Florida, rather than hitting, what was it, like 137? That's not good. So, if Garcia keeps stepping up, and if Witt really pushes for another MVP this year, you can see things going right, especially with the pitching staff as it's constructed now and with the depth they have.
It's fascinating. We'll see how it develops for the Royals. I mentioned the Blue Jays rotation, and they already have worries with Berrios and Bieber. Yeah. You add Trey Savage to the mix, apparently. What do you kind of see in Savage's situation that really that could put the Blue Jays in a bind?
This is an historical thing. I mean, Savage has had this before. It's the reason he dropped to, I think it was 21, where the Blue Jays picked him. He's always had talent, but that shoulder, he's got an unusual motion. It's not that unusual, and I'll actually break this down in the next episode of Injury Territory, why he's not as unusual as you think he is. It is a worry. Shoulder impingement is something he's had before, and the best predictor of future injury is past injury. So you do worry about Savage. They've got some depth. I think the Jays signaled this, that they knew there were issues by bringing back Max Scherzer. Look, Max Scherzer is not the pitcher he once was, but can he go out there and give them 50 decent innings? Well, yeah, probably. He's certainly going to be competitive. I've heard they're very happy with the way he's dealing with other players, that they're curious if he's going to go into coaching at some level. So I think they knew this was coming, and you kind of have to plan for it. Again, for any rotation, you have to go 7-8 deep, but it's beyond those three that you mentioned. Ricky Tiedemann, Yimi Garcia. They've got a number of guys just in the rotation arms that are down, which means they're 9, 10 deep on the depth chart.
Well, in the offseason, when you had the trade go down between the Angels and Orioles, 1 year of Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez felt like an interesting trade price. But now we're seeing with the Angels, Grayson Rodriguez, tale as old as time. He's going to begin the season on the injured list. What's the latest with the exciting prospect who can't ever seem to kind of catch on and stay healthy?
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy. At some point, you stop being a maybe and you start being a what if. And that's where it feels like where it's with Rodriguez. The Angels, they were going to get rid of Ward. They knew they're not a contender now. So they took a lottery ticket in Rodriguez. Talented, but it's going to be like 2 years since he's pitched when he comes back from this. So I don't know if he's cooked. I hope not, because he's shown flashes. But in baseball, the best ability is availability, and he's just never seeming to be there.
Will, what's new at Under the Knife and Injury Territory?
Tons. We got opening day. We've got Netflix baseball tomorrow night, and in Injury Territory, like I said, we're breaking down Savage and Strider, and we even talk about the Royals being the most unpredictable team. So check that out. It'll be up later today, but you should subscribe so it just automatically comes to you.
That's how it works. That'll be good to go and catch up on. So again, undertheknife.substack.com and Injury Territory, wherever you get your podcasts, all of that great stuff from Will Carroll, the injury expert. And now is a great time of year to get plugged into all of it. Great to have him here on the big show, KTGR. Thanks, Will, for coming on. Hope you're well, and happy opening day. We'll talk soon.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Big show's on at 4:45, KTGR and the KTGR app. Netflix baseball. It is going to be hard to find all the national games this year for some folks.
Yeah, seems like there are more spots, or maybe they're just different spots. Like it was Roku for a minute. Now it's going to be Netflix, or it's going to be, you still got some Apple floating around. So we'll get used to it. We'll get back into the swing of things like we always do.
Not really ESPN either. Like the Sunday nights are now NBC.
NBC, that'll be interesting to see how, NBC does a good product. Like Sunday Night Football is a really good product. I'll be very curious to see how they do with baseball. I think Fox is trying to kind of start up, make it a baseball night in America sort of vibe, where they want to do Saturday evenings more so than afternoon as they traditionally had. So I'll be curious to see kind of, hopefully at the end of it all, Andy, it's good for baseball, good for fans, that we can, get some good products with some, some infusion of, I don't know, some energy, where it's like, it can be good sometimes to have things change up and see what new ideas can form from a different entity, maybe, that gets a chance to carry games and put their stamp on the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it also. And of course, Cardinals season, we're your home for that right here on KTGR. So you don't have to worry about what you need to stream or anything like that. If you're just wanting to watch or follow the Cardinals, make sure you listen right here on KTGR. Every single game on KTGR FM. And be sure to start this Thursday as the Cardinals host the Rays. In the meantime, Under the Bus coming up. Frank Thomas and the White Sox. The rift continues to get larger between those two parties. That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou women's basketball season is done. Tigers lost last night in the second round of the WBIT at BYU. The Cougars won 93-75. Grace Slaughter and Chloe Sotel both scored 17 points in the game. Slaughter, with her scoring, moved to 5th all-time in single-season scoring on the Mizzou all-time women's basketball list. Mizzou women's hoop season ends as the Tigers finish with a record of 17-17. Both Mizzou Diamond sports teams in action tonight. Mizzou baseball plays the bragging rights game against Illinois at Carshield Field in O'Fallon, Missouri, coming up at 6 o'clock this evening. Coverage begins at 5:45 on the KTGR app. Mizzou softball starting in about 15 minutes. They're on the road against SIU Edwardsville in a midweek competition. Mizzou softball trying to get to 2 games under 500 with a win there. Cardinals defeated the Springfield Cardinals 3-2 yesterday in their final tune-up before the regular season opens on Thursday against the Rays. Royals earlier today lost 4-1 to the Rangers in their final exhibition. Royals will open up Friday at the Atlanta Braves. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
BC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a mostly clear night as temperatures drop down into the upper 40s. Tomorrow is beautiful and breezy. We're going to see mostly sunny skies, gusty winds, and highs getting into the low 80s. We're even warmer on Thursday. As we start out in the 60s, we'll see highs in the upper 80s to almost 90 degrees with a chance of showers and storms by evening. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
On Simmons Field, swinging a ground ball hit past third and the left. That's a base hit. And across the SEC, fastball swing and a miss. He struck him out. The Tigers are ready to roar. There it goes, long drive, deep right field. That is gone. This is your radio home for Mizzou baseball. The Tigers win this one in a walk-off here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
We're trying to save people money. Go.
What if we cut sandwiches into thirds instead of halves?
We could stop buying warranties and just hope.
What about switching our toilet paper to half ply?
Ew.
It doesn't take a terrible think tank to save money. Just shop at Family Pawn. They've got jewelry, electronics, tools, and gifts for way less. No sacrifices, no half-ply TP. Ugh.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Hi, it's Hilly and Hart. This December, let's make some Christmas magic together in Europe.
Join us December 6th through the 14th for Colette's European Christmas Markets Tour.
We're heading to Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest.
Think holiday shopping, amazing food, and that once-in-a-lifetime Christmas feeling everywhere you go.
And since Colette takes care of the flights, hotels, meals, and local experiences,
you can focus on having fun.
Get the full trip details now. Go to 943kat.com.
Lose the weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis Guaranteed or your money back. No matter how many times you failed in the past, this hypnosis is guaranteed to work.
After this hypnosis, I want to eat good food.
Since August, I can honestly say I have not had one potato chip.
It was life-changing for me.
And I don't think about desserts like I used to.
Bridget, how much have you lost now?
I lost a total of 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful.
And I would just say go for it.
Lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed, only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-night eating binges, boredom eating, and stress eating. Hypnosis April 23rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel in Jefferson City. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. Or Saturday, April 25th, Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
What happens when a chef, 2 pharmacists, and a financial analyst walk into a bar? They buy it. And then they tell people from all walks of life to come enjoy it with them. Big flavors, bigger burgers, local brews, handcrafted drinks, and a game of pool or two. See, billiards was built by people like you. A teacher, a receptionist, and a cashier walk into billiards. What happens next is up to you.
Looking on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Call your shot at billiardsonbroadway.com.
When you have a great product, it's not hard to sell. And no one has a better product than Fuse 32. When you're a part of our sales force, our creative team makes your job a lot simpler. Like selling a fully loaded SUV with TVs in the back for the young family. And a third row because they're expecting more. It's a win-win, and everyone's happy. You'll have total confidence in yourself, the team alongside you, and what you offer to clients. Apply now at Fuse32.com. Fuse 32. There's nothing we can't do.
The dawn chorus of birdsong, the calm trickling of streams, wind rustling through new leaves, bees busily buzzing, friends and family laughing and enjoying the outdoors again. You used to be able to hear all of the sounds of spring, but your hearing is faded, and spring plays more like a silent film now. So it will be all the more wonderful when you experience spring again, like your first movie in Dolby Digital.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmaker Pear Lab in Jefferson City. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
Frank Thomas is suing the White Sox, and he wants to make sure they don't use his name and likeness in their jerseys. They apparently used his name and jersey number in their new City Connects that they released last year, like their 2.0s. Yeah, to like help promote their City Connects. It's like, we'll put Frank Thomas's name on there because, well, nobody else on the team is going to be as recognizable as
that's true.
Someone from 20 years ago. That was a great Hall of Fame player, of course. But Frank Thomas did not like that, and he is suing in Cook County, Illinois. Seeks payment in excess of $50,000 and demands a jury trial. So that's continuing the rift of because he also did not, when he was playing for them, he also did not really get along with the team and front office all that well.
Ownership. Yeah, that's unfortunate because like you said, when you have a representative of your team, you are kind of starved for current representatives that are good, that you'd like to maybe make nice with those guys. You would think that they would have been able to foresee this, and asked ahead of time, tried to work something out in advance, but didn't. I kind of, without knowing a lot about the story, I'm kind of on Frank Thomas's side. I feel like you got to ask, and if he doesn't approve it, you can't use it,
I think that's right. I would feel that way too.
NIL dispute.
It has permeated into the other levels. And under the bus to the NBA Players Association, they want an end to the 65 game rule. That you need to play 65 games in order to be eligible for
awards,
postseason awards, everything like that. I think that's going to eat up Cade Cunningham for the awesome season he's had, but I guess an injury derailed it, and he's not going to get to 65 games.
And there's others that were on the borderline where I thought Cade Cunningham might actually win it by default prior to his injury because of the other big stars having injuries. But it seems like most of the main names at the top are at least on the cut line to maybe miss this 65 game total.
So are you on the side of get rid of the rule? Because I honestly think I'm fine with this rule.
Yeah, I think, and it's a shame if there's an extenuating circumstance of a legit injury.
Yeah.
But I do think it prevents a guy from having a couple week injury and then maybe a couple of sit outs here, there, and everywhere. And I think there needs to be some level. Is 65 the right number? I don't know, but I'm kind of NBA, your product sucks. It's a bad product. Look at the scores on a nightly basis. It's all blowouts most nights, and they're telling me we need to do more to allow players to not play. I'm not really in favor of that.
That I'm with you. Because again, they could be sitting out early in the year for no reason other than rest, and then they get an injury anyway.
Shocker that when more than half the team make the playoffs or have access to it, it's up to 18, 20 teams. Your regular season product is no good. Who could have predicted that?
This is pretty sweet. Mizzou softball's got quite the versatile freshman this year. Abby Carr, been hitting excellently at the plate and also helping out on the pitching staff, doing really well in some relief appearances. She today was named Softball America's Freshman Star of the Week for what she did this last week. She had like 3 home runs in the series against Alabama while also pitching in 4 2/3 innings and not allowing a run in relief efforts.
Pretty good.
Pretty good for a freshman.
Yeah.
That's
pretty good for anybody, but
yeah,
definitely give credit when it's a younger player just getting into the mix.
Yeah, and Larissa Anderson's, raved about her, obviously. And also, like, kind of, it's cool to have someone like that. It makes managing, a little more interesting, like strategy. You can start her in the lineup, then switch her over to pitcher and get some other people in the game. So, congrats to Abby Carr. Mizzou softball about to get underway in a few minutes at SIU Edwardsville. Keep you updated on that. In the meantime, let's talk some Cardinals and Royals. Cardinals have made their roster decisions. Royals are about to finalize theirs by tomorrow. We'll talk about whether it was right or wrong not to include Nelson Velasquez in the Cardinals roster next.
My name is Josh. I am an exterior project specialist with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors. If you are living in an aging home, you may start noticing items around your home that need repair or replacement. For example, your roof, shingles blowing off, roof leak pop up over time. If you're in an aging home and you look at your windows, you may start to see fogging up between the glass so you can't quite get it clean, or sashes that don't quite open just right and don't lock just right. With something like siding, you're going to notice that your paint is fading, and that may be signs it's getting old. Maybe the vinyl siding on your home is brittle. And finally, if you have a deck, this is a common item of failure. Your stairs start to get a little wobbly and feel unsafe. If you notice any of these things happening to your home, give us a call and we'll let you know whether it be repair or replacement. We're going to take care of you.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
Shangri-La Dispensaries has always been there for your medicinal and recreational needs. Now they need your vote in Best of Columbia 2026. Voting is open for Inside Columbia's Best of Columbia, and Shangri-La is up for Best Dispensary. You can vote for Shangri-La once a day between now and April 12th. Just go to InsideColumbia.net. Shangri-La would like to thank all their loyal patients and customers for letting them be there for your medicinal and recreational needs. Shangri-La Dispensaries is Paradise Found.
If you're craving something delicious, find your way to the Pasta Factory, where everything's made from scratch daily. Their fresh sauces, cakes, quiche, dressings, and soups are sure to tantalize your taste buds. And all pasta entrees are cooked, baked, and tossed to order. Don't leave without sampling those homemade desserts, lovingly crafted by Jason and Rob. Good. The Pasta Factory. Visit them at 3103 West Broadway Business Park, right in front of Walmart. Celebrating 50 years in business. The Pasta Factory, where fresh meets flavor.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
I'm Christine Lisi. The NBPA did not pull any punches regarding the Giannis Antetokounmpo Bucks shutdown conflict. The PA implied the team's tanking and damaging the NBA's integrity by wanting to shut down the megastar the rest of this season. Giannis reportedly has been insistent about playing again. Not an easy solution here, notes ESPN's Danny Green.
What Giannis's approach is. I love that he wants to play, but you have to save him from himself. He's had that calf injury multiple times. One could argue his value could go up if you show that how healthy he is and what he can play, what he could do for your group. But they have lost with him when he's come back on the floor. So it doesn't make sense in my mind. So ultimately he should rest and sit because it makes sense for both parties.
76ers forward Paul George declined to get into specifics over the failed drug test that led to his 25-game suspension, but said he's mentally and physically ready to help Philly's playoff push. He'll play tomorrow night against Chicago. Arkansas freshman star Darius Acuff Jr. has landed a signature shoe with Reebok, is the first NCAA men's athlete to receive one with a major U.S. brand while still in college. He's the number 8 prospect on ESPN's big board for the upcoming draft.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
From Faroe, 15 to the 10, to the Kansas City! To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
It is so very baseball season. We got bragging rights baseball coming up a little bit later on tonight. I will be in attendance, excited about that. Mizzou, Illinois. But we're talking MLB as well as the season begins on Thursday. The Cardinals open up with the Tampa Bay Rays. And included in the lineup, well, it won't be Nelson Velasquez, who led the team in offensive statistics during spring training. He didn't make the team. Was it the right decision or short-sighted by the Cardinals? We'll talk about that coming up here in a couple of minutes. We'll review some of the other roster decisions by the Cardinals and the Royals and talk with Mizzou Wrestling's Brian Smith before we get out of here on the show today. 573-875-KTGR to call or text. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
So what does Dennis Gates need to do next year to win back the haters, essentially? And you don't know whether that it's a make or break type year. I don't know if I would completely characterize it as that, but you do need to give the fans a little something to be excited about, especially when Jason Crow Jr. comes in. You want to capitalize on the ability to build around a player like that. That's what makes this offseason so important. Transfer portal season going to start very soon for Mizzou men's basketball. But it would be fair to at least expect if you get back to the NCAA tournament to win a game there, maybe get seeded so that you can win a game. And maybe that allows you to win the next one and get to the second weekend. There will be all kinds of discussions about that over the next few months or so. But we know this. Fans are frustrated about how seasons have ended recently under Dennis Gates. Even though they've raised the level of what to expect around here, it's still leaving a little sour taste in the mouth.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
A chance for both Mizzou baseball and softball to kind of shake off series losses from this past weekend. Mizzou baseball bragging rights tonight. O'Fallon, Missouri, Carshield Field. Tigers take on Illinois. 6 o'clock is when that gets started with Tex Little and Matt Michaels on the KTGR app. You can hear it over there. And then Mizzou softball getting underway right now against SIU Edwardsville on the road. As Mizzou softball tries to add to their record.
Number 3.
How about a Mizzou transfer commitment for football today? Yeah, football. Baylor edge rusher Cameron Morgan announced his commitment to the Tigers today. Was previously committed to Virginia Tech, but then apparently some academic issues prevented him from enrolling. He then got that resolved by appealing, and now he's good, but then went back into the portal market. Mizzou got him. He's a freshman last year, appeared in 10 games, 6 tackles, so still kind of a raw talent that the Tigers are trying to unlock, but he'll have a lot of eligibility left to work with. We'll see if he factors in.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Mizzou women's basketball season is done. They finished at 17-17 after losing to BYU in the WBIT. Look, it's all about getting valuable experience, I think, for this team and for head coach Kelly Harper with this group. But we'll see if they can take another step forward. That'll be important to see next year as the Tigers look to build into 26-27.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
Is Bill Self considering retirement? This may be the closest to seriously considering it that we've seen in the past. Who knows?
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. He was asked straight up, like, is this his last season? And he said, quote, I'll get back and get with my family and visit and see what's going on. I love what I do. I need to be able to do it where I'm feeling good and healthy to do it fairly well. I'll get it back home and it will all be discussed. And he basically said that nothing has been decided. He's going to discuss it. So,
which is, I saw a quote today that I don't know if it's even meaningful at all from SLU coach Josh Schertz, who was asked like if he's 100% back. And he kind of was like, well, you know, it's an impossible question to answer because you can say you're back and then something happens and you're not back and now you lied. Or, you know, you can say I'm pursuing these other jobs or I'm listening to these other jobs, but then you sound like you're not committed. He said there's no right answer. I was like, I wonder if that's, I don't know how big he would be dreaming. I don't know that a Kansas or North Carolina opening would necessarily be applicable to him, but you never know. And so it's kind of like the Drinkwitz thing where it was like, we want you to say I'm 100% back, but like from the coach's perspective, you don't want to say that and then have it be a lie because a job that nobody thought was
something you didn't know about all of a
Yeah.
sudden is available to you.
It's a tough spot to be in if you're a coach, but also like there is a right answer if you are 100% staying. But what person in a professional endeavor would not leave themselves open to be courted by someone that's going to pay them double or give them, the lifetime of assurances for their family? That's where it's like we want undying loyalty, like it's a marriage when it's a job market, and so that makes it a little bit tricky. But the Bill Self thing is interesting. I say, ding dong, the witch is dead. Like, let's get him out of here. No, I'm kidding. I actually would probably be a little bit, I don't know. Like, Bill Self has been the coach for as long as I can remember at Kansas, and like when I hate Kansas, I'm hating Bill Self right there with it, and I would hate to have to hate somebody.
You would have to learn how to hate somebody else.
I want to hate you, Bill.
Yeah. I know how to hate you.
I'm not
don't
done
leave.
with you yet. It's so funny because if he was at any other school, I think he would be considered very likable by me. But he's not. He's the Kansas coach, and he's that SOB. I just don't want anything to do with it. You know what I mean? So I kind of hope he stays just because of the entertainment of him being in our orbit. But it sounds like he's definitely leaning a little bit closer to the middle on will he stay or go.
Well,
and they haven't had like crazy success.
Well, but it's also
years
either. It's that. It's like people question, like, can he continue to win with everyone being able to do what he was doing under the table for sure?
Players
like,
are
there
Kansas fans who would probably say, let's throw a bag at an up and comer, and maybe this is the right time to do that. But nobody's gonna ever fire Bill Self, you know.
And that's maybe that is all that's available to them too. Like that's the fascinating thing about this for me is that okay, so Bill Self steps down. Kansas is open. 10 years ago, Kansas could handpick whatever sitting head coach they want across America to come and be their coach.
Now they'll listen, but they'll say, "What's your NIL?"
What's everything?
That's the first question.
And exactly like Dusty May's probably on their list if like they call them, but like if Dusty May is going to really consider this, Dusty May also has to consider what he's got right now at Michigan. It's really good.
They might win it all this year.
He's right there to win it. And so like that's how this gets juxtaposed. Like again, Kansas, the stature of the job, how you hear the job obviously speaks for itself, but in this day and age,
say the same for North Carolina.
Exactly.
That's oh my gosh, it's the Tar Heels. Yeah, but like there's going to be another question there by anybody that's being courted to know, and there are going to be some, like if it was Josh Schertz, he's taking the job. I hate it to say for SLU fans.
Yeah.
But like if it's another power, Big Five conference coach that's in a good situation and winning is taken just once you're making those gobs of money anyway.
Yeah. Like Tommy Lloyd is not dropping everything and bowing down to Kansas if they call him. Like, no.
I don't think I would if I were him. He's in a great situation.
Yeah. It's a conversation, no doubt, but like he's got a tough decision to make on his hands if that's the guy that they call if they have to fill their opening.
I saw a Kansas fan posting a list in the event that Bill Self is out, and I retweeted it because they put number 2 was Dustin May. And I said, Dustin May is under contract for at least this year. You're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
You can trade for him in July. That may be a possibility.
True. Yeah.
But for right now, you cannot have Dustin May.
Yeah.
Which I thought was.
He's going to have to miss portal season, unfortunately. But, it's still on the table if you really want to go that route. Oh, man. Yeah, that's the more fascinating part about this cycle. Those two, like, again, they're still monster jobs.
Yeah.
But I don't think the candidate pool will be as monster that is available to them if, in fact, those jobs come open.
And I think that the candidate pool can be there, but the resources that would have to be spent, and those same programs are going to have to say, we have a football program too. Can we afford to? And maybe Kansas doesn't. Maybe they just don't care. But like, that's a conversation now as well, at least when it comes to the above board revenue sharing. hey, here's what we're going to do in rev share. Okay, that's limited because our football program is gobbling up X amount. Here's how we're going to provide you over the top NIL because we have corporation A through E that are all lined up to pay this to help us get that player pool. And it's, it's a way that we're going to be able to give you those assurances before you take this job. I think is it's complicated, man. It's more complicated than it used to be. And I think it's more complicated in basketball than it is in football. You still have those same conversations in football, but like at the end of the day, LSU can still get Lane Kiffin. Like they have to offer him all of those things. But I think the big name programs in basketball, it does feel a little bit different to me. Because I think the Arizonas of the world that have always been good programs, now they're cooking and their head coach is there with the NIL that is giving him success. And why would you need to leave if you're happy where you are? I think there's more of those type of programs in basketball than there is on that short list. Like if Alabama in football comes open, like I still think Alabama can kind of pick their guy.
That's
right. But
yeah,
a little different in hoops.
It is. Like again, you can build it up pretty darn quickly and then have the success to the point where, okay, a national championship is within your grasp. You don't need a big brand like those Blue Bloods to really get there. So, yeah, going to be fascinating. We'll see what the Bill Self retirement decision ends up being. We'll see if potentially that job opens up at the same time as North Carolina, which still hasn't officially opened up, but we kind of think it's going to be. Like, we're getting refreshed on that. Like, are they going to say he's gone or not? But that's going to be the fascinating part to me about this college basketball hiring cycle. Call or text us at 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on that. On Mizzou basketball, of course, as they get ready for the offseason, and also Cardinals and Royals season starting this week. So the Cardinals roster decisions have been made. The biggest one that caught a lot of attention, it would seem, a guy who was tearing the cover off the ball in spring, Nelson Velasquez. Thinking like, look, this guy, they could slot him in as a starter, it seemed. Lars Nootbaar's hurt. Let's see what
starter. He's been cleanup. I mean,
exactly.
That's like, really the way it felt. If you look at the lineup, they need a right-hander in the cleanup spot, and he would have been probably my choice.
And it was looking tailor-made for him to at least get an opportunity for now, maybe until Lars Nootbaar comes back. Nope. Not on the roster. Not
on the roster. He wasn't on the 40-man.
No.
He got a non-roster invite to spring camp. And, OPS was like 1,100, had 4 homers, had very few strikeouts, which is maybe atypical compared to his career, where you're like, okay, is that an adjustment that he's made, or is that just kind of noise in spring training that you don't want to build a future roster decision based upon? And what I mean by future is when you've got a full 40-man roster, you do have to figure out how to maneuver and have room for a guy. And I think the decision would have come down to, okay, Jose Fermin does make the team. If he didn't make the team, you kind of get to a point of going, well, what are we doing still having him on the 40-man roster? Like, if not now, when? Let's stop, hoarding this player that we don't have any intention to use. If that's the case, maybe Velasquez gets the spot over him, Fermin gets the DFA, and you try to pass him through waivers, and maybe he gets picked up. Fermin offers more defensive flexibility, but you also have Thomas Sajaci making the team that is a utility infielder who is now going to play some outfield as well. Fermin, same thing, going to be eligible to play some outfield, especially as Nootbaar is on the mend. They're deliberating 60-day IL for Nootbaar. I don't know if they'll do it. If they did, it would even clarify further that there's some opportunity out there in that corner outfield, especially kind of thinking Jordan Walker is going to play most of the time, but not all the time. I think they're going to be careful about him in certain matchups against pitchers that just maybe it's been a lot with his swing path and the bat path, and can he hit the slider? Is he maybe more susceptible to those guys that can throw the breaking ball off the table, and maybe you try to protect him in those matchups, get him a day here and there. If they do that, you're looking at Sajaci, Fermin, and Nathan Church, who I think is probably your opening day left fielder. It comes down to Nathan Church, probably more likely to be on the team 12 months from now than Nelson Velasquez. Combination of maybe the Cardinals just not sure if what they saw in spring is real from Velasquez just yet, and they'll get a chance to say, hey, man, sorry, but keep proving it in AAA and you might get your shot, versus, they didn't want to, they kind of lean back to the status quo. The path of least resistance is not having to DFA anybody, not have to waive anybody.
Which is great, right? That's gotten them real far.
That does sound like a modus operandi of a different MO.
Yeah.
That used to kind of run things.
Yeah.
And now people
Very
are
familiar.
going, wait a minute, is he still hiding under a desk somewhere? Like, what's going on? It does. It feels like a very John Mozeliak type of just don't upset the apple cart move. Now, there's room for that to be true, but I also think there's room. And look, this is an evaluation question. If the Cardinals just think, hey, what we saw from Velasquez isn't real, we just aren't convinced, it's too small of a sample, it's spring training and those don't count. And so we're just not convinced that that's, because once you call him up, he's out of options. So there's no real reason. There's no real reason to stash him on your bench. When you call him up, you have to know you're going to be ready to play him, and to give him that look to decide if this is going to be a long-term thing or not. And I think Jose Fermin is along for the ride. He's going to be the last guy on the bench. He can fill in defensively. He can pitch in just about wherever you ask him to. He's more versatile, and he doesn't need to start. And I don't think he's gonna. I think you're talking about utility bench. You do have Ramon Urias that kind of does the same thing. How many times Jose Fermin gets into games in the first couple of weeks will be interesting to see, Andy. But I think it made more sense to have a guy like him as your last man on the bench than Velasquez. And maybe they want to see Nathan Church. And so the other part of that is, okay, well, DH Velasquez. Well, you can't, because I don't know how much Herrera is really going to catch.
No.
At least early on, I think they're going to want to just make sure, let's get his feet under him and have him bat, and they'll start to sprinkle that in. But that means if Velasquez doesn't have DH available to him, and he doesn't really have left field available to him if they want to play Church, and they still like Sajacy and don't want to have him rot, I think it's like you're kind of waiting for an injury, or you're waiting for Velasquez to just show in AAA, like, the changes I've made are real, and I demand the cleanup spot in St. Louis. And maybe that happens at some point. I don't know. But for now, it's like, I was surprised. I'm like explaining the move in a way that makes it make sense, even if I was like not expecting it or thinking that it was the move I would have made. But let's be real. Is this like this? The Cardinals are going to go 73 and 89 or whatever it is, and
it's not going to make a difference.
They didn't bring Velasquez up on day one. I think they'd rather think long term and say, look, if there's a guy that's our 40th man right now that we don't want to expose, that's more long term thinking than when we call up Velasquez. If we do, we're ready to give him an opportunity to actually evaluate him, and I just don't think they're ready to do it.
Which they could still let him do the same sort of thing in AAA, and that be the case. And look,
I think that's where he's headed. Yeah,
tear it up. I just wish for that guy, like, because I could kind of see a similar situation that sort of played out with him when he was with the Royals not too long ago. Like, he provided some power when they like desperately needed it, and he was starting to get it and in some short spurts. And you thought, well, maybe you can unlock that a little bit, but they were kind of committed to some of the other guys that they had there. And then he eventually gets traded last year. But like, I get that they can't necessarily make rash decisions that are in win now mode, because like, that's not what your roster is set up to do right now. You need to get the foundation built and have all of that. It is hard though to sell to the fans. Yeah, we know this guy's great, and we know this guy could be our cleanup hitter right now and could maybe help out our lineup a little bit as they get their feet under him, but we're not going to. It's kind of a hard thing to sell, even during a year where you're like, okay, we know we're not winning and all that.
It is, and it's because it feels so much like the last era that I think a lot of the offseason felt different and new in a good way, of like, oh, Chaim Bloom's doing things differently than the guy who irritated me, and I was glad to see him go. And so this is maybe the first example where you go, this kind of feels like what that guy would have done. And so how do I feel about that as a Cardinals fan? But let me paint you a scenario that seems, in my world, semi-plausible. Let's say they do it the other way. They have to DFA somebody who, they didn't want to have to get rid of. Fermin or a pitcher, heaven forbid, when you could be losing arms early and you just don't want to get any of those bullpen guys that have options. You just don't want to you don't want to have to do that just yet. So let's say they do it. Velasquez is their cleanup hitter, starts for the first week and a half, 10 games in, he's 1 for the season with a dozen strikeouts, and you're like, oh, it was fake. It was spring training wasn't real. But then you can't get that guy back that you DFA'd, right? That's the argument of I think they think that's a possible outcome if they bring up Velasquez and that they're not sure what they're going to get from him. And so he's not necessarily worth sacrificing a player from their 40-person roster in order to do that. But the other side of this is, what if 2-3 months down the road, they've DFA'd 2-3 guys because they find out that they're not that useful. And it's like, well, if you were going to do that anyway, couldn't you have just tried it with Velasquez at the beginning?
Right.
So you could argue both sides of it. But I almost think the notion of that, I think they want to look at Nathan Church, because what if Nathan Church is like a keeper fourth outfield type that is around for a while and maybe even ascends above that with being able to play all the outfield positions and, give you a little bit of pop and give you some speed, give you some athleticism. I think Velasquez just gets caught in the shuffle a little bit, but I don't think it's over for him. I just think it's like they're not making a rash decision on opening day. The rash decision that they made on opening day was like, JJ Weatherholt's our second baseman, and he's probably going to be batting leadoff for us. And yes, he's on the team.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even talking about that because it was such a foregone conclusion. But that is at least a good sign of like, he was ready. It's time to see it and see what it looks like. And they made the decision that the Tigers, I guess, did not make with McGonigal, their top shortstop prospect, as Will Carroll had mentioned, that he was not being, not being coming up with the club.
I think since we talked to Will that they have been changed.
Okay.
He's on the roster within the last couple of hours. Yeah,
Okay.
we talked to Will earlier in the day, and within the last couple of hours since we talked to him, it was
I
made
hadn't
official
looked.
that
I just assumed he was right.
yeah, but yeah, they're gonna have their top prospect in Detroit there,
And that's what you should do. That's what everybody should be doing when they've got a player of that caliber. And I think additional credit goes to Oliver Marmol. He's going to lead them off. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to see. The rest of the lineup could look a little bit, funky because you don't have that bona fide cleanup hitter, right? And you're going to try to offset the lefties and the righties in the best way that you can. So is that Herrera batting cleanup with Mason Wynn batting second, or is that flipped and Wynn's actually batting fourth, or is Jordan Walker going to be batting fourth? You barely are sure you want him in the lineup.
Where's Burleson?
Three.
Throw that 3, you think? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Weatherholt is 1, Burleson 3, Gorman 5.
Because they want to keep doing the lefty-righty thing.
Yeah, you'll have Nathan Church 6 probably, 7. Walker probably 6, Pedro Pajes 8, Victor Scott 9, which kind of, it's like a puzzle. And you're like, well, Mason Wynn, good kind of speedy leadoff type of guy, bat him second.
Right. Yeah.
Or our best hitter should bat second and get another crack at batting in the 9th inning. Herrera's going to bat second, which could lead Mason Wynn batting cleanup, which does not make any sense, but that's just where they're at because of the Velasquez decision.
Call or text us 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in here on the big show on some Cardinals talk. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline now. Hello, who's this?
Oh, this is Kenneth calling in from Texas.
Kenneth, you're on the big show. What you got?
I was wanting to see how y'all see my beloved Astros faring this season.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this has got to be a plant. What just happened?
What do you mean? I swear this is not a plant.
Andy, did you put him up to it?
No, I did not.
Andy's a big Astros fan too, so I felt like.
Did you know that, Kenneth? Did you know any of that?
No, I honestly did not.
See, like he's. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Under the table.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you,
Okay,
Kenneth.
Kenneth, we'll weigh in on.
We'll weigh in on the Astros if you're cool with taking the answer off air. Appreciate the call, Kenneth. That's a pleasant surprise.
There's no way this just happened.
One like that. I swear to God,
give me a break.
Never met Kenneth in my life,
funny.
but now I am glad to have done so through the KTGR hotline.
That's awesome.
I mean,
well, what's your stance on the Astros? Good year, bad year? What do we?
Well, here's the thing. It could be a crossy roads year. Like it's feeling a little bit like they need to get back to. There's been regression ever since they won it all in 22. Every single year, didn't get back to the World Series in 23. Bounced in the wild card in 24 and didn't even make it at all last year. So, I mean, I think the window is still open. You can be competitive. This team has the talent to go as far as you would want to go. It is a big year for their manager and GM.
Yeah, I can't believe. I mean, they really just missed Dusty Baker, and a lot of people felt like he was a problem.
It was.
Haven't seen him do much since he left.
He's on a beach somewhere. Like he was done with this bleep.
But
He's like, buddy,
wasn't he managing the WBC though? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was kind of. I can't remember what team he was. It Nicaragua that he was managing. I want to say. I think that was it. Yeah, look, he's still involved in the game and an ambassador for the game. So that's good to see. He just, the day in, day out of being field manager for a big league club. Just sometimes you just got to get away from it. I will say, look, it was a tough year, his last one, but man, when he was standing up for Brian Abreu, who was just trying to make a competitive pitch, wasn't trying to hit Adolis Garcia with a fastball, but they still suspended him and ejected him from the game. And Dusty Baker was ejected from the game. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm standing up for this. I am not leaving this spot. I will say that day I was proud that Dusty Baker was my favorite team's manager. Like he was not having it, and he was right to not have it. So to me, like his tenure, he went out a hero. He went out a hero.
And is Altuve going to play outfield this year? Is that the plan?
I don't think so. I hope not.
No?
I hope not.
Does he still have the buzzer on him? Because that would help. When they had those cooking, they were a much more effective organization. So maybe bring that back. Get a chance to.
Again, Jose Altuve will be a Hall of Famer one day, and you won't be able to say any of that eventually. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text if you want to weigh in.
By the time he's on the ballot, I will probably be voting. So I guess I'll have to make that.
Yep.
I'll have to make that decision, and if I'm going to be part of the 75% or not.
He's probably going to have 3,000 hits by then, and
I would vote. I would vote
all that. So
I would vote for him.
So yeah.
You think I'm going to leave a guy who's 5'5" out of the Hall of Fame?
He represents all of us, right? Yeah. Pound for pound, probably greatest hitter ever. Come on. Up next, more talk about roster decisions. Some that the Royals will be having to make here soon. They finalize the roster tomorrow. And Brian Smith, Mizzou Wrestling, will join us to discuss the NCAA championships and the wrestling season, for the college season at least, wrapping up here on The Big Show, KTGR.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. Now is the time, the springtime, to think about tree pruning, to think about the structural strength of your trees. This is the time to think about it, because once the summer rolls along and you try to do that work, it can be damaging to the trees. So now, if you get tree pruning done, they can grow back stronger as the months roll along. And there is one place and one guy that I trust with all of my tree needs, and that's Eric and his team over at Advanced Tree Solutions. They serve Columbia, Jefferson City, and Fulton. If you call him up, he'll be there on time. He'll take care of your trees. He'll assess what needs to be done, give you a fair and honest price, and the work is going to be top-notch. It'll take care of all of your worries about how your trees are doing. Let Eric and his team care for your trees at Advanced Tree Solutions. Go and check out their full range of services, advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Definitely during this time of year, make sure to get tree pruning done before the summertime. Go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com.
From the trainers to the coaches, the equipment managers to the players and fans, it takes a whole team to be truly successful. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you're looking for the best team of jewelers in Columbia, it's Betts. Their staff has years of experience handcrafting jewelry, and when you combine that with the newest technology, it gives Betts Jewelers the ability to truly wow their customers. So talk to the team at your hometown jeweler today. Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
Nobody wants to be picked last or finish last in the standings. Last strike of the last inning? Nope. And you never want to be the last one finishing your laps at practice. So when baseball and softball season get here, don't wait until the last minute to gear up either. Head to Play It Again Sports in Columbia. They've got everything your athlete needs for the upcoming baseball and softball seasons, plus gently used equipment too. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com. To you, they're basically invisible. Tiny, weird, winged insects. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Not exactly. You see, while you're living your best human life above ground, there could be up to 1 million termites foraging for wood underneath your home. Steve's Pest Control needs you to know that termites are a serious problem. Like up to $5 billion a year serious. Oh, and that homeowner's insurance you've got? Yeah, termite damage isn't covered. In Missouri, it's not a matter of if you're going to get termites, it's when. A termite queen can lay over 20,000 eggs a day, and their colonies could house up to 1 million termites each. Upgrade your 5-star service with Steve's to the 5-star Advantage plan. In most cases, for less than $1.50 per day, you can show those termites that the Centricon system and Steve's Pest Control are a serious threat too.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis. Only $59.99 guaranteed or your money back. Stop smoking without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. That's right. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. Also, lose all the weight and let Mark Patrick Hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings. Hypnosis Thursday, April 23rd, Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City. Weight loss hypnosis, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis, 8 p.m. Or Saturday, April 25th at the Courtyard by Marriott in Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis, 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis, 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got the Big Show on KTGR.
Baseball season is upon us. Cardinals start Thursday. Royals start Friday. Call or text us with your Cardinals and Royals thoughts, 875-KTGR. Apparently even your Astros thoughts. I didn't know that I would be prompted to talk about the Astros today, but apparently I will.
I'm still not sure what happened with that.
I'm just giving the listeners what they want, Brendan. That's all I'm doing.
He calls in and asks directly for it. So I guess I said, all right, Andy, go let her eat. What do you got on the Astros?
Look, man, we got an expansive reach. We're on YouTube now. We're on Facebook. Like, we're worldwide now. So, I mean, anything goes, I suppose. But, of course, we're going to talk about what's happening here in Missouri. And, again, if you want to listen to the Cardinals this year, this is your place to do it. 1:35 is when pregame starts for Cardinals and Rays on Thursday. And, of course, like, you get to hear kind of the sounds of the opening day ceremonies at Busch Stadium, which is always something that you need to experience. So
what's the game? 3:15?
3:15.
They start the pregame pretty early to get all the festivities involved, I suppose. And then I guess they got to make it a 45-minute game because we got the show at 4. So we got to. Oh, wait a second.
No, you're going to hear that instead of the show. All right. That's how it goes. But hey,
that seems fair.
That'll be good still to see the Cardinals kick off the season here against the Rays. We'll see what this season brings for the Cardinals and for the Royals. Now, they start the next day, so I think that means they get to spend one extra day finalizing their roster. I think there's not as much drama as to what might be happening here. They've already kind of signaled what they're going to do. I mean, Luinder Avila is going to be an interesting guy that could factor in pitching-wise. I mean, ideally as a starter, but hey, maybe you want to get him some time in the bullpen just to get his feet wet at the big league level. Maybe there's an opportunity to do that. We'll see. Injury expert Will Carroll joined us last hour and said, the Michael Massey injury, even if he's not ready opening day, that might be okay because then you can include somebody else. And if Massey isn't included, probably going to be Tyler Tolbert in that spot on the infield to be the guy off the bench that you rely upon. The thing about the Royals roster is that they've got like some veterans. Like they've gone about this a different way because, again, they maybe are more in win now mode than the Cardinals
I think
are.
So.
So like they went out and realized that they need to fix some outfield issues. So they go and trade for Isaac Collins. They go and sign Lane Thomas. They bring in Starling Marte just to say, hey, maybe you can still help us out. Get a veteran presence in here. Help out a young team that's trying to, keep afloat in these AL Central conversations. So like that makes it a little easier. You're not wondering how many options guys have or things like that. But it does make it kind of interesting how they would look to frame the start of this season. Then as things develop, maybe Marte's, aging and isn't going to be able to help you out here.
I don't know. His numbers the last couple of years have been way better than what they've been getting out of their outfield recently. Sure. So I'll be curious to see if that, like if you could have plugged in a 745 OPS that he had last year into the outfield for them last year, I think you would have definitely taken that. Now, maybe some of your guys, like adding Collins as well, hopefully he does it, right? But at least now they've got options to where if one guy's not doing it, the next guy can have a chance to do it, and they shouldn't be just totally like throwing their hands in the air going, I don't know, run out that guy with a 180 average again for the 10th day in a row. Like, we don't have anybody else.
And again, the pitching is basically set. The rotation is exactly the same from last year. And as long as health holds up, you hope that's the case. And we'll see what happens with that group. But then you have guys that you can turn to also. And that's going to be the interesting thing. Like, do they decide to then use their depth if guys are healthy? Say, like, hey, let's try and make a move and see if anybody wants Stephen Cole or Ryan Bergert, somebody like that.
You can never have too much pitching, and like you hate to be the team that has to find that out the hard way after trading somebody because you thought you had too much. But certainly I think they'll be able to, if they want to, capitalize on a market that has pitchers dropping like flies around them. Yeah, it's not impossible. You just don't hardly ever see that in April. You know, it's usually May, June before that really gets going.
Yeah, it's just interesting how other teams who are clearly hurting for pitching, how desperate they get, and whether they call at this point in the season and see if teams have the appetite for it. We'll never know for sure, but I mean, it is fascinating how the Royals will then try to position themselves based on how they start this year with that. I'm excited for their bullpen. Like, they have a low-key, very steady, at least numbers-wise, stable of guys that can bridge you from whatever you need to start from. 5th inning, 6th inning.
Yeah.
I think
and the back end should be reliable. I mean, all-star caliber names back there too.
That's an underrated part of this for the Royals. Like, that can really help them at this stage.
And I think they'll be a team that, you know, is hanging around in July and maybe has one need it can identify and then would have the ability to trade for it. You know what I mean? Like, I think they can be not totally done as far as their roster is built. If they get to a point in the season where, hey, we're competitive, but now we really can say, let's push some chips into the middle of the table because we've got a pretty good nucleus here to work around.
And we'll see how that nucleus looks at the very start. They're at the Atlanta Braves this weekend, and we'll have season predictions tomorrow on how the Cardinals and Royals will do for sure as we get
be fun.
closer and closer to baseball season here. 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on it. Mizzou college wrestling season is done. NCAA championships were this weekend in Cleveland. Tigers got 2 All-Americans, but they'll still have guys wrestling in the freestyle events, both in the freestyle events as well as internationally. Season doesn't end for Brian Smith and company. We'll talk to him next on The Big Show.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou women's basketball last night fell to BYU in the WBIT. Final score 93-75. Grace Slaughter and Chloe Sotel both with 17 points. With Slaughter's 17, she finishes this season with the 5th most points for a single season in Mizzou women's basketball history. Mizzou women's hoops finishes the year overall at 17-17. Mizzou softball is underway now at SIU Edwardsville. A big first inning, 5 runs in the first. The Tigers have a 5-0 lead at the moment. It's currently in the top of the 3rd inning. Mizzou baseball about to get started in about 20 minutes in the bragging rights game against Illinois. That's at Carshield Field in O'Fallon as the Tigers look to get a rivalry win. They'll have 5 games this week. They'll play Illinois today, then Lindenwood in a true road game tomorrow before coming home to host Texas A&M. Cardinals defeated the Springfield Cardinals 3-2 yesterday. Final tune-up before the regular season opener against the Rays on Thursday. Royals lost to the Rangers 4-1 today in their last exhibition. They play at the Atlanta Braves Friday at 6:15. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast. All right, you there?
No.
All right. All right, you start with like Cardinals and Royals predictions is what we'll do tomorrow.
Okay. With the MLB season just around the corner, we will take to our MLB season predictions on Wednesday's big show. How will the Cardinals and Royals fare?
We'll get you set for opening day, and we'll continue to talk about Mizzou, the end of the basketball season, and baseball and softball season continuing. Don't miss it. All right, that'll work.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, enjoy the game tonight.
Should be fun. Hopefully the weather stays warm enough, but I'm going to have the layers ready and if necessary.
Sure.
All right. Hopefully they don't get run rolled, too, like they did against Kansas.
That would be nice.
See ya.
See ya.
Many helpful people around you to help you be successful was really awesome for me and is what made me fall in love with this job. Team is great. We all want to see each other succeed. I think that's a huge part of working here and a huge benefit of working here.
If you're up for the challenge, apply now at ZimmerCommunications.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of main event catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
The dawn chorus of birdsong, the calm trickling of streams, wind rustling through new leaves, bees busily buzzing, friends and family laughing and enjoying the outdoors again. You used to be able to hear all of the sounds of spring, but your hearing has faded, and spring plays more like a silent film now. So it will be all the more wonderful when you experience spring again, like your first movie in Dolby Digital.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmaker Repair Lab in Jefferson City. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow.
Shangri-La Dispensaries has always been there for your medicinal and recreational needs. Now they need your vote in Best of Columbia 2026. Voting is open for Inside Columbia's Best of Columbia, and Shangri-La is up for Best Dispensary. You can vote for Shangri-La once a day between now and April 12th. Just go to InsideColumbia.net. Shangri-La would like to thank all their loyal patients and customers for letting them be there for your medicinal and recreational needs. Shangri-La Dispensaries is Paradise Found.
Now through March 31st at Clark Warehouse Tire and Auto, get up to $180 back on a Bridgestone prepaid MasterCard. Get up to $80 back when you purchase 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, plus up to an extra $100 back when you use your CFNA credit card. Upgrade your ride and save big today at any Clark Warehouse Tire and Auto location. Subject to credit approval, restrictions apply. Visit BridgestoneRewards.com for details.
Clark Warehouse Tire and Auto, keeping Missouri rolling since 1949.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got the Big Show on the KTGR app.
Back here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy Humphrey here. The Mizzou wrestling season is in the books after the NCAA championships in Cleveland. The Tigers as a team took 14th place, 6 wrestlers competing in the event, and the Tigers got 2 All-Americans as well, Aiden Sinclair at 184 and Cam Steed at 174. Sinclair finished in third place, and Steed finished in fifth in his weight class. So good to see the Tigers put a good showing there, especially from those two individuals. And here to talk with us about it, Brian Smith, the head coach of Mizzou Wrestling, here on the KTGR hotline. So, Coach, of course, those two living up to their billing, they were they're seeded at least to be in All-American territory, and they end up getting to that point. And then several other wrestlers racking up some points for you throughout the weekend. Overall, how did you kind of see it playing out as a team for your group?
You know, you're never satisfied unless you win the whole dang thing, and even then you'll find mistakes. But we lost a heartbreaker in the quarters with Aiden losing in overtime. And that he ends up going like 30-2 this year, and the two losses to the same guy in overtime. And it's just frustrating. But you know, he had to bounce back and win 4 straight matches, and he did it, and he dominated in those 4. So shows a lot of character, because it's hard coming back after, you know, your dream of winning the national title is taken, and you have to go find a way to take third, and he did. But I thought Cam wrestled well. You know, he made it to the NCAA semis. He loses a tough one, but comes back and takes fifth, placing 2 spots above what he did last year. So he had a good season overall. And then some of our young guys, you know, with Gage Walker getting a win in there, and then Mac Mauger getting a win in there. You know, 2 young kids that have made it to the nationals for the first time and getting their wins out there. So it's good for the experience, and then, you know, coming back next year with that experience of not only just going to nationals, but winning a match. So looking forward to having them back. Stoner had some close matches, but just didn't put, he almost had the 6 seed upset, got taken down at the buzzer. So, but overall, I was, you know, you're pleased, but you always want more.
And certainly it leaves the wrestlers that will be coming back for you hungrier for more, I'm sure, as Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling joins us here on the big show, KTGR. And mentioning some of those younger guys like Walker and also Mac Mauger in those spots to get that first taste of it. How do you then see it growing in them in future years as they look to build upon that? Because that, I mean, you've seen a progression of wrestlers get their first taste of it and then get better and better as they get more chances at it down the line.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAAs, it can, you know, it's the finality of it. It's the end of your season, and you're walking into a sold out arena. It's, you know, for everything. And so your first time there it's nerve wracking. I remember Cam going out last year for the first time and barely got by his first match. Finally took the kid down at the end, but it was a close match. And then from there, you know, he goes on All-Americans and beat some really good people. But it was the same thing with Mac and Gage. They were very nervous, but getting their first wins was important. And I do think, and I know they're excited about next season and what we can accomplish with those two, plus Aiden and Cam coming back. And we have some kids that will be coming off red shirt that are really tough. So that's what you move on to, you know, getting ready for that.
For sure. Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling here on the big show, KTGR. So you mentioned Sinclair there. And again, when he's seeded second and he takes the loss at the time, that was unfortunate, obviously, going up and rematching with Ferrari over at Iowa. And it could have gone either way there. You talk about the mentality of staying with it and still being able to go and place third and getting as well of a finish as you could possibly have after taking your first loss. So for Sinclair, is he, again, his first taste of it too, even though he came in with a lot of hype, how do you kind of see him building off of that?
I mean, the match he lost, you can't be discouraged at him because he's scoring at such a high level. And then the match he lost, he didn't score takedowns, but he was in, I think, on 3 or 4 deep takedowns and just couldn't finish. And eventually gets in a bad position off of his shot and gets scored on. The other guy didn't take a shot. I mean, that's a fact. If you watch the match, it's just, he was the aggressor. He had him hit for stalling. He just made a mistake. And so the good thing is he was able to just put it away, focus on the next 4 matches, and then be upset about it because, you know, he did all he could in the match, but finished the takedown. If he finishes the takedown, he's probably an NCAA champ. But you got to move on from that and improve on it, and that's what he's got to do this spring and summer. You know, he knows that. He knows when he gets to a single, like he did, he's got to finish those takedowns. And when he pretty much perfects that, he's going to be really tough to beat. I mean, he had 2 overtime losses this year to the same person, so he's right there.
Sure is. And then when we talk about Cam and him lasting until the semifinal round at 174, just getting edged out in that decision to the number 3 seeded guy, just the experience for him too, because again, he's going up against the best of the best, and has at times this year kind of outperformed the seed that he maybe got. How do you kind of see him building off of this as he looks to try and chase another All-American next year?
With Cam, it's, he has the talent and the potential to be a national champ. When Cam believes it and wrestles to his fullest, he's really hard to beat. And he knows that. It's just getting him through that. But the good thing with him is last year, he just gets in there, comes through the backside and places 7th. This year has a much better tournament and makes it to the semis and then wins the backside and takes 5th. And so I just see him growing in confidence that, as a senior, he'll be the senior next year. That he's already told me there's one thing that he's looking for next year at the tournament is winning the darn thing. So he's got to train at that higher level where he wrestles with confidence all the time. There were moments in some matches he was holding back, and you can't do that. If you're going to win the darn thing, you got to get after it and give it your best shot. And I truly believe he'll be ready for that next year.
Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And you did get another for your team, a national recognition. Your heavyweight, Jared Stoner, was named to the NCAA Elite 90. And I believe that's the first time that a Mizzou wrestler has ever gotten that type of recognition. What does that mean for Stoner and the season that he has had?
Well, he makes it for nationals, lost a heartbreaker to the 6th seed, but then he wins the overall number 1 athlete in the sport of wrestling for academics. It's pretty cool because, we pride ourselves with Tiger Style on doing it in every facet of life. And he's pre-med, he's a 4.0. He's probably graduating a year early. And so he's an amazing young man on what he can do. He's not only a great athlete, he's killing it in the classroom, and to be recognized for it is special because he's definitely well-deserved of that award with a 4.0 and all medical and all that kind of stuff. So he's a special kid.
Certainly has been good to watch him wrestle this year. And even though the college season is now done and certainly a good showing from your group at the NCAA championships this past weekend, several of your wrestlers, though, are still right back at it here very soon with freestyle season coming up, under 20s, youth competitions, international competitions, things like that. It seems that they'll be back at it next month, a lot of them in those under 20s. In fact, you were telling me earlier, Aiden Sinclair is back at it this weekend in a competition already. How does this kind of turn around for so many of your wrestlers, even though the college season is now in the books?
Well, if you've ever talked with Aiden, he just loves to wrestle. So he can't take time off. It's in him. He needs to be around the mat. It's hard for us to keep him away from it. And he's going to be wrestling on the Fox network and the RAF, the RAF stuff. That Real American Freestyle, and that'll be this Saturday in Tampa. So I'm not even sure who he's wrestling, but he'll be going at it Saturday, and then the end of April we'll have about 6 guys wrestling in the U20s, and including Aiden, who's still in that age group, and then I think Aiden will go open too. He'll go in the open division along with Keegan O'Toole, my assistant, and then my other assistant, Jared Jacques, will be going too. So we'll have a bunch of guys. We never stop.
Yeah.
I always say that. I said, other coaches get to take time off. We're always right back at it and getting ready and competing year round. So but that's why we love it.
Yeah, it never stops. I'm sure you've gotten some time though to get some R&R yourself, just even briefly. I know you'll be right back at it very soon. But great to catch up with you. And again, congratulations on the season you had this year, and at the NCAA championships, placing 14th. Again, thanks for all the time you've given us this season, and hope to talk again soon.
Thanks, Andy.
You bet. That is Mizzou wrestling coach Brian Smith here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Amazing, right? Just right back at it after the college season ends. Then you get the freestyle season, and this is when the assistant coaches can get involved. And of course, you know how high-powered Keegan O'Toole can be from his time as a college wrestler for Mizzou, trying to get better and better at the professional and international stage. Good to see Keegan O'Toole getting back at it there. And we'll see how Aiden Sinclair does through that same type of circuit as well. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks also to the injury expert, Will Carroll, for coming on earlier. Turn your KTGR app over to Mizzou baseball as the Tigers get set to take on Illinois in the bragging rights game in just a little bit. That is first pitch coming up in just a few minutes. So, again, if you're listening on the KTGR app, just flip over on your live streams tab, click on the Mizzou Baseball one, and you'll be able to hear the game tonight. And then again, they'll be back in action tomorrow night, taking on Lindenwood at the same time. And we'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Lose weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis Guaranteed or your money back, only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating.